Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here again for the third day in a row. Helen, how are you? Are you feeling happy?
I am feeling happy, but I am ready to get happier.
Let's get even happier. Welcome, everybody. Let us know, as always, who is here. Where are you watching us? Unbelievably, Helen, we are streaming live on Instagram. It worked. We was having a few technical issues. But we're here on Instagram. Let us know who's on Instagram. Let us know who's on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are also on LinkedIn. Wherever you are joining us from today, we want to say thank you for being here at the slightly later time than we originally had advertised. But nonetheless, we are here now, and we're going to be talking about 12 ways to get happier. So let's dive straight into today's content. The first thing I want to say is I heard, I can't remember the person's name, but it was a doctor on a podcast I was listening to speaking about happiness, almost like it was on a spectrum. And I think this is the first thing to acknowledge is it's kind of like we all, obviously, like genetically, personality wise, we all naturally have a personality, right? Which is not influenced by external, forces, I guess. It's not influenced by what we see and what other people tell us and belief systems. We naturally have like a disposition, I guess. So speaking about like happiness being on a spectrum, on a scale, and some people naturally are just happier people. Some people naturally are just a little bit more negative. We all sit somewhere on the scale naturally. Give me some love hearts or drop in the comments below. Does this make sense? Can you see how that would make a lot of sense? And I think it's an important thing to address because a lot of us can like be focused on self-development. And actually, there is just a certain personality type that we all naturally have. Now, so some people are more naturally optimistic, some are more pessimistic. However, this is what the doctor said that had sort of done a lot of research on this, is there's many other factors that determine our disposition and how happy we are as we move through life. And they estimate that the studies suggest only around 30% of how we are is based on our personality type. In other words, what we can't control. That's a small percent, right? Only 30% is that. So wherever you are on that spectrum, wherever you are on that scale, there are so many other things that we can be proactive about changing if we want to live a happier life. And I'll just be really honest about this. And I've spoken about this before when I was doing the podcast, is naturally, I don't think I'm a very optimistic person. I'll just be totally honest about that. You know, when we look at why people turn to self-development and the stuff that we speak about, Helen, it's like usually that's because we want it. It's not because I was this wonderfully perfect person that was completely self-developed and I was like, let me do some work on self-development. It was like because naturally I would often feel like low mood, low energy, low motivation. I was quite negative. You know, we have this thing called negativity bias. I was like, hell yes, I know it. So naturally, I would say I am more towards the pessimistic, negative side of the scale. When I look at my family as well, I love my family like bits. They're incredible. But I would also say generally, a lot of my family are naturally more pessimistic. Like my dad is very much like he needs to see evidence and he's always looking for facts and he doesn't just trust stuff. He doesn't ever have like blind faith. My mum and my nan, I think of them and they're like, oh, weather's rotten or whatever. Don't get me wrong. They're not victims about it. Like they're hardworking people and they just get on with it. And they're like, life is what it is. Let's get shit done. But I would guess, like observing my own behavior and theirs, that naturally we probably are more towards the negative, pessimistic side. Naturally, what would you say for you, Helen? Are you naturally quite a pessimistic person or an optimistic person?
Yeah, I think obviously having anxiety, I'm definitely more leaning towards the always looking at the negative side of things and worrying. So yeah, I would say I'm with you. But that said, I think we're both quite like happy. Like we make the best of things, don't we? And we, you know, we're upbeat people, but yeah, I think naturally our minds will move more towards.
Naturally, I'm a moody bastard. There, I've said it. I am, right? Naturally. But remember, whatever that naturally thing is that we're saying, it only equates for around 30%. The rest of it, and we're going to talk about 12 things today. These are 12 things that are within your control, right? So it almost doesn't really matter because the bigger percent you can do something about. Let me know in the comments below if this sounds good. Give me some love hearts. Give me some engagement. Let us know who's here. How are you? What are you up to? Is there anyone there over on Facebook, Helen?
Yeah, we've got Kaz Caroline Haig. We've got Leanne Miller. We've got Lynn Cutler. So yeah, we've got they're just people that are showing up in the chat.
Amazing. Let me know in the chat. Let me know, how happy are you today? I would just love to, do you know what? And I just like this subject. I think it's a really great subject to talk about because, as I've said sort of in the post earlier, life's short, guys. And I think often when we're talking about self-development, we're talking about goals, we're talking about success, we're talking about achieving things, and we're all focused on we've got to action. And it's like, do you know what? As well, life's really short. And if you're not happy, if you're not enjoying it, what's the bloody point? So I think this is a really, really important conversation that we're having today. I think these are 12 really important things for you to be mindful of. And what I want to say, a little bit like I said at the event we did the other week in Leeds, as you go through these 12, to sort of use this as an opportunity for some serious self-reflection, I'd love you to kind of like just think about like rating yourself. Like, how well do you feel you do on each of these 12 steps? Because that's where then, as as we come towards the end of this video, you can leave this video like, I've really gained some awareness on the things that I need to be more focused on, because it's going to help me live a happier life. And ultimately, isn't that what we all want, really? So is there any comments there, Helen, at your end, just before we dive in? Let me know on Instagram if you're here. Thanks for being here. I hope you're happy, but this video is going to make you even happier. Oh, shall we talk about that, Helen? Shall we talk about it?
This will make them all happy because this was brilliant.
This made me laugh. So we did when we went live yesterday. We ended it, and I went, "Bye, everyone." And Helen like joins in with a wave, and then I ended the live, and there's sometimes a delay because we're multi-streaming at the moment, so it ends at different times on different platforms. And one by one they ended, and I saw them end, and I just like stayed there like this, and Helen's like, and then Helen's like looking like, is he gonna?
And then I got bored and just put my hand down and just sat here.
And I went, Ellen, we finished ages ago, love, you're fine. And you had no idea, did you? And I was just like, I thought, I had my phone in my hand. I was like, I wonder if I could just film her. So, but I didn't. I weren't that cruel, Helen. All right, guys. So anyway, is there any comments just before we dive in, Helen?
So Jo Newson has said she's not had a happy day, but this session will help make her happier. Bet we've got you laughing already, Jo.
Glad you're here, though, Jo. That's the main thing. Anybody else?
No, that's it so far. Apart from me typing high fives instead of hi guys, because I can
high fives. She's loving the waves, the high fives. All right, let's dive straight in. So here we go. 12 things to think about that are going to help you live a happier life. The first one is to give without needing to receive. And I think this is a massive one. There's a quote that I've heard which says the art of living is giving. And I want you to think about that. Is there really a much more fulfilling, happier experience than when you genuinely do something? It doesn't need to be a massive thing, but something that positively impacts another human being and makes them feel good. Like, I think about this a lot. Really, as humans, we're just on this rock floating around in space. And it's like the thing that makes us human, or a massive part of it, is connection to other humans. And if you can just not always need to receive and always need to, like, I'm doing that because I want to get something in return. If you can just genuinely do something because you know it's going to make someone else's day a little bit better, not only is that good for them, but the thing you do get back is just that feeling of, oh, I really enjoyed that. That was nice. And it's a lovely thing to do. And I think that's important with when, like, I think a lot of people hear that and they think like, oh, well, I haven't got loads of money, or I'm stressed, or I've got a lot going on in my life. I think it's important to think, no, it doesn't need to be money. It doesn't need to be loads of time. It could just be something small. It could just be a compliment. You know, just be more mindful. Just say, oh, you look lovely today. Or, you know, it's really nice to see you. I really love spending time with you. Just like little things. Just little things where you're not saying it because you want them to go, oh, I love you too, and you're amazing too, and you look great. You're not saying it for that. You're just being consciously aware of it. I just want to just give a little bit more positivity and happiness to the world. I remember like there was something where I remember I just see this. I was going to Tesco and there's this guy that was there that was clearly homeless. And I had like a spare quid. And I was thinking while I was like doing my shopping, I was like, oh, I'm going to give that to him when I get out. And then when I left Tesco, he'd gone. I remember being like, no, you know, because I had it in my head. I was really looking forward to it. But I went back the next day and he was there and I was so happy. And as I reflected on it, really, the reason I wanted to do that, it wasn't even about the quid. It's just a quid, whatever. But I remember just thinking like how lonely it must feel when you're there every day hoping somebody could give you some food or some money, and 90% of people, I assume, don't even give you eye contact because they're like, I don't want to give money, or I haven't got a spare quid or whatever. I don't want to be bothered. My life's so busy. I'm so stressed. And they're just in their own world. They're not being aware. How many people, like, just to get that human interaction? And I remember just doing that, and he was so grateful. And I just remember feeling so good. Like, he wasn't going to give me anything back. I wasn't doing it for the thanks. It was just the knowing I'd done something positive for that person. And look, that is money. It doesn't need to be money. There's things you can do for people, like I said. But even just like little things, like buy a stranger a coffee in the queue behind you and just be like, you know, that person there, whatever they want, it's on me. Here's a tenner or whatever. Just little things. They don't need to be big. They make you feel good. Have you got anything on that, Helen?
Yeah, I just think like one of my favourite sayings is we rise by lifting others. And I massively believe that. I feel like when I go into that place of like, especially when anxiety kicks up, the first thing I do is I just go and try and serve somebody else in some way. And it could be anything. It could be like offering to babysit my niece for an hour while my sister-in-law cleans up or something. It could be anything, but just give something back to somebody. And then you feel like so much better because it's not about you anymore. You get out of you and into giving, and it's magic.
And you're just making that little positive ripple effect in the world. You're doing some good, and that in turn makes you feel good about yourself. It's a nice thing to do. So step number 1 in terms of how to live a happier life is to give without needing to receive. Step number 2, if you want to live a happier life, is to stop consuming so much. So many of us are constantly consuming, and it's more than ever in this modern world. So looking at things that you're consuming that are not making you feel good. So avoiding things like maybe watching too much of the news, or avoiding certain TV channels or TV programs, accounts, people you follow online that rile you up, that annoy you, that piss you off, that get you frustrated, that get you angry. Maybe unfollow them, you know. And I always say about social media, I always say you want to be the creator, not the consumer, as much as possible. There's a lot of good that can be taken from social media. There's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work. There's accounts that can inspire you. There's obviously podcasts. There's all these things, which obviously I'm a massive part of and do myself. So I'm not saying don't ever consume. What I would suggest is you want to mindfully consume. Like, why are you going to social media? If it's to consume, what are you going to consume? And is it going to make you feel better? Is it going to inspire you? Is it going to motivate you? Is it going to cheer you up? That's the first thing, is not to just mindlessly consume. And then the second thing is, I say, be a creator. Like, give. If you're going to be on social media, don't just be on there to consume. But I think across the world, across the board, is not just in general social media, just in general. Like, do you really need to consume that much? I think we overconsume food, a lot of us. Like, we overconsume buying stuff, materialistic things, overconsume, like I say, watching telly all the time, watching the news. I think the statistic, it might not be exactly accurate, but it's something like, if you watch the news and you see the different headlines and the different reports, it's something like there are 17 pieces of negative news to every one piece of positive news that's reported every day. So you are regularly watching the news and you want to live a happy life, and 17 pieces of reports on there are really negative, and it's about war, it's about someone's been murdered, there's been a house fire, like, it's just negative, and one bit of positive news, which is like, I don't know, somebody saved a dog, whatever. It's like, are you really going to feel uplifted and happy when you've watched the news? So be mindful of what you're consuming, but in general, I would just say, don't consume so much. Anything from you, Helen?
Yeah, just agree with you on the news front. Definitely, it was a massive one for me when I first started working here. I used to have rolling news on, like 24-hour news, and not anymore. I'll catch up, keep up to date with things, but definitely don't pay too much attention. Don't have the notifications on my phone, because that used to get me down. It's just doom. Here's more doom. Here's more doom. Here's more doom, and it's like, stay informed, but you don't need to have that constant bombarding of it.
Absolutely. 100% agree. It's not about like completely shutting off necessarily. If that's not what you want to do, it's just about being more mindful, isn't it? And just be more aware of it. Okay, so that's number 2, is if you want to have a happier life, stop consuming so much and also be more of a creator. Step number 3, be more present and make peace with your past. Stop worrying so much about what you did in the past and the future. Like, oh my God, what's happening in the future? We spend so much time in our own head, either looking back or looking forward. And so many people have done research on this, that the happiest people, they're able to be present. It's about noticing the small things. Gratitude. What are the things you've got to be happy in this moment? What can you enjoy about this moment right now if you look for it? And it's also about techniques and strategies to help you bring your mind to the present. A lot of people, swear by things like yoga and meditation and all these kind of things. They really help center your mind. For some of you, it might be journaling. You're getting all your thoughts down. You're really thinking, how am I feeling today? What are my concerns at the moment? What do I want to do today? What am I focused on right now? Whatever you can do, but have practices, have techniques, have tools in your toolkit that help you be more present. But equally, make peace with the past. It's not about ignoring the past. Like, if you've got shit in your past that bothers you today, work on healing yourself from that, dealing with it, moving forward. If you need to speak to somebody about previous problems, get help, speak to a therapist, a counselor, a coach, whatever it is. Deal with the past in order to move forward and be able to be more present. One of the things that I do that can really help when I'm working with clients is timeline therapy. It's a really good way of going to the past in a constructive way, where you actually look at it and go, hang on, let's reframe this. Let's look at it from a different angle. And then let's come out of it with a new perspective on the past in order to put it in its place, move forward. But I think this is huge. I think so many people, just be honest. If you put it in the comments now, if you either resonate with this yourself or people that are living like this right now, they just live constantly replaying the past, talking about the past, constantly fearing the future, and they very rarely are just present in the moment, appreciating the great small things they have right now. You're quite big on the meditation front, aren't you, Helen?
Huge.
How have you found that, and what is it that you do?
So I do mindfulness is probably the one that I do the most. Mindfulness every day. I have a mindfulness journal. It takes me 5 minutes to fill in before I go to bed, but it just makes me see that there was good that day. Also yoga, meditation. I do guided meditations because I find them easier to just keep my attention. And also just noticing stuff. Like you said, stay in the present, notice things, look around for things. And it's surprising how much positive stuff you can find when you look for it.
So true. I've become, I would say, borderline woo-woo. Like, when I go out on my walk, getting my steps in, I really just take a moment. There's a certain spot I have on my walk where you can see fields and you can see the city in the background, and you can see for miles. And especially when I'm going like early morning as the sun's just risen and it's empty and it's quiet. And I just breathe and I close my eyes and I breathe. And then I just look out and I just notice, like, I'm here, I'm alive, how great it is to be here. And I see the grass and whatever. And I just really take some moments to just appreciate and notice the world. And I just think we don't do that enough.
No.
And we just constantly, our heads on, we need to get the kids, we need to do this, we've got that to do at work. What are we doing? Like, just stop and come back to the present. I know, I always remember Jimmy Carr in his book speaks about what he thinks is the meaning of life. And he said, it's 5 words: enjoying the passage of time. That's the real meaning. Like, are you enjoying the passage of time? And I think one of the things that helps you enjoy the time is appreciating the time, being present in the moment with the time, not constantly dwelling over the past. It's done. It's over. You can't do naff all about it. You can do a lot about right now. So I think this is a huge one. So that is number 3, which is to be more present and make peace with the past. All right, let's move on. Number 4. I'm not going to go on and on about this because this is something we could go on about and we do go on about. So I'm just going to say very clearly, remove the negative interactions with people and replace with positive action takers. A group that we used to run that Helen was in, we used to call it the positive action takers. Not only were we focused on being positive, we were also focused on being proactive. And I think there's a lot of happiness that comes from that feeling of pride when you're doing shit, when there's momentum, when there's progress, when you feel like you're going somewhere in life. So I think the more you can surround yourself with that, it's infectious, right? When you're around other positive action takers. But when you're generally around the negative energy drainers who bitch, who moan, who whine, who complain, who blame everybody else, they're the victims, it's not their fault, it's everybody else's, it's their upbringing, it's the family, it's the friendship, it's their partner, it's their kids, it's the government, it's Russia. Like, they just blame everything about why they don't like their life. If you are around people like that, guess what? You're going to feel the same. You're going to feel helpless, powerless, negative shit. That's how you're going to feel. You want to feel happier. You need to increase your exposure to positive, proactive people who are taking action. And obviously, you don't want to spend loads of time around these negative people. It is going to, like, it's massive. And we talk about it all the time, but who you surround yourself with, both in person and online. Like, who are you arguing with online about Donald Trump? Who are you wasting your time arguing with about Labour versus Conservatives versus Green Party versus Reform? Like, why are you wasting your time? None of it really matters and affects you anyway. If you sort your own shit out and become responsible for your own shit, then your life's going to be better. Why are you putting it on the government to sort your shit out? You sort your shit out. It might be harder. It might not be ideal. It might not be easy, but what are you going to do? Just moan with someone on TikTok for 6 hours about it? Well done. That's made you feel better, hasn't it? No, remove all that nonsense. Focus on getting around people who are getting shit done, who are making a positive impact, who have got a positive attitude, who are moving forward in life. All right. Number 5, and remember what I said if you're just joining me as well, just to let you know, I said sort of as I'm going through these points, rate yourself. Like, how good are you at that? Is that something you need to be more mindful of and work on? I see it a lot. Even though we talk about it a lot, Helen, I see a lot of people and I still think, fucking shut up. Why are you still? You've just wasted an hour there arguing with a stranger on the internet. Who's the idiot? You feel like, well, you can't say that. You're wrong. I'm right. You're an idiot. You're wasting your life, which is so precious and short, arguing with someone through a keyboard. Yeah. Like, you're an idiot. It doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. It doesn't matter if it's indifferent. You're an idiot for wasting your life like that. Get off, get around positive, proactive people and get doing some shit that's actually going to make you feel happier and better about your life. Number 5, gratitude. We kind of covered it a little bit earlier, but the thing that I wanted to say about gratitude is this is not just some woo-woo shit. And we hear it a lot online, don't we, about like gratitude journals and gratitude being so important. And I think because we hear it a lot, quite often it just goes over people's heads and they don't actually do it. But guys, you need to understand, this is science backed. Like, there's been studies on this and it has been proven that your happiness increases and depression decreases in people who are focused regular on gratitude. When you're focusing on what you have, who you have still alive today, who you have in your life, what you've done to be proud of, what you've got that makes you so bloody lucky. Even just the simple stuff like you woke up today when other people didn't. Like, just taking more time to really think, not just like, oh yeah, I'm grateful, I'm doing my gratitude journal, yeah, I'm grateful to be here. Genuinely feel it and take the time to embody it. When you're really grateful, it's hard to be pissed off. It just is, isn't it? Is gratitude something that's big for you, Helen?
It is. And I think, like, adding on to that, and even probably is a bit more woo-woo really, but I also think that the more grateful you are and the more that you're vibing in that frequency, the better that comes your way as well. Because I feel
it's
like...
not woo-woo. It's science-backed. Like, when you're in a better place, you show up in a better place, more better people want to be around you, more opportunities happen.
Yeah, and I'm huge on that, and I've seen that shift in my own life where, you know, even if everything isn't perfect, even if you haven't got the car that you want, you haven't got, you know, everything that you've ever wanted, being grateful for what you do have soon opens the door to you actually achieving what you wanted. Yep. It's, instead of coming from it from a lack point of view and a sort of scarcity mindset, coming at it from an abundant mindset and thinking more in terms of like, well, maybe I've not got a dream car, but I have a car and I'm very lucky to have a car.
That's it. Most people just focus on what they don't have. They focus on problems, not solutions. They don't focus on how bloody lucky they are. And it's massive. When you start to train your brain to look for gratitude genuinely on a regular basis, you are going to feel so bloody lucky. And as a result, you're going to feel much happier. So that is number 5. All right, moving on. Number 6, exercise, nutrition, and protecting your sleep. Guys, think about this. Your body is designed to move. It is not designed to lay in bed, to then get in the car, sat down, to get to your office, sat down, to then get back in the car, sat down, to then get in front of the TV and sit down again. So just generally, I'm not just talking I'm not just talking about going to the gym for 45 minutes to an hour. I'm saying generally throughout your day, you want to move your body as much as possible. It's like hard to explain when you haven't done it properly how good you can feel when you are regularly fueling your body with great nutrition, moving your body, and then getting quality sleep. Like those three things, I can't speak enough about. It's so simple, it's so basic, but yet so many of us are underslept. We are not moving our body enough. We might be going to the gym, but we're still sedentary most times. There's a reason right now I'm not sat down. Like, I don't know if you know yet. I'm not, this is me stood up, right? Because I've become aware that I'm not moving enough. And sometimes I don't do it every day, but when I'm doing my back-to-back coaching calls, I'll just be sat for 4 or 5 hours at a time. So now I'm being more mindful. Sometimes I'll sit, but sometimes I'll do a full session and I'll just stand. Because just generally our bodies are designed to move, and they're designed in a way that actually food will fuel it if it's the right food and the right quantity of food. And then I go on about sleep all the time, but when you get those three things right, you're generally going to feel much happier. If I said to you right now, there's a wonder drug that has come out, and if you take this brand new drug, think about this, it's going to improve your mood. It's going to improve your energy. It's going to make you think clearer. You're going to be sharper. You're going to make better decisions. Therefore, you're going to feel better all around. Like, you can be like, oh my God, like, what is it? And then, like, it's expensive. You're like, I don't care. I need to get that shit. If my mood's better, my energy's better, I feel better, I'm sharper, I make better decisions. Like, I'm like, sleep. Just sleep more. Literally, it's available for you for free. So sleep, nutrition, exercise, step number 6. If you want to be happier, do not neglect those. And do not, if right now you're like, yeah, well, I'm neglecting them, like, well, then just be less happy, because the two will go hand in hand. You will definitely feel better when you're healthier, when you're sleeping, and so on. Number 7, this is a big one. Learn to say no. Learn to say no. You've only got so long on this planet. And the problem is most of us are really good people and we want to be people pleasers. But you have to have boundaries in place. What I suggest everybody does is get really clear on your vision, get really clear on your goals, get really clear on the life you want to live. And when you know that and you're clear on it, it becomes easier to know who should I say yes to and who do I have to say, unfortunately, I can't do that. Unfortunately, that's a no today. But I think once you know that, you can make sure your decisions are aligned. And I think most people, A, haven't got really clear on the vision, or B, are just such people pleasers that they put their vision second all the time, or third or fourth, and they put everybody else first. And what does that lead to? It leads to resentment, which means even though you're doing what the other person wants you to do, you're not doing it in a way that you're actually wanting to do it. You're not happy. What impact will that have on a relationship, whether that be a friendship, any relationship, when you're constantly feeling like you're doing something you didn't want to do just to people please? Eventually, it's going to catch up. Eventually, you're going to snap. You're going to tell them to F off. It could lead to all sorts, right? If you want to be happier, you need to get clearer on what your vision is, what aligns, and get more confident in having boundaries and saying no. Anything you want to add on that one, Helen?
Yeah, I think it's something we're all really bad at, or a lot of us are really bad at, but it's also a skill that you can definitely work on and improve, and definitely reach out for help if it's something that you struggle with, and ask for advice from people. Learn assertiveness. There's plenty of training out there and coaching from people like Matt that can help you to do that. And it's not about being awful, and you don't have to say no in a bad way. You can learn to say it in a really good way, and actually people respect it
massively.
Yeah,
massively. And I always say it's about communication. It's about the skill of how to communicate. We have to learn how to be a good communicator. It's often not what we say, it's how we say it that makes the impact. So that's a really important one. Okay, that's number 7 is learning to say no. Number 8, this is a massive one. Have a strong routine. Remember this, your body rewards routine. So if you're going to bed at the same time, if you're getting up at the same time, if you're roughly having the same amount of sleep, if you're roughly eating at the same time, if you're roughly exercising at the same time, if you're scheduling in your days so that you're clear and specific about what you're doing day to day, it means you're going to be more productive, you're going to get more done, and then you're going to feel better. So generally for your mental health and your physical health, routine is a super important one. It's one that we talk about all the time. We talk about morning routines, we talk about evening routines, we talk about scheduling your days so that you go into your days with intention, where it's been thought out. But I think just generally, the more you can be in a routine, the better it's going to be for your body, the better it's going to be for your mind, the happier you're going to be. But then number 9 is another step, another tip, if you like, for living a happier life, is have variety. Now, initially you might be like, well, this is a contradiction. You just said I need a routine, go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time. And, but let's go deep on variety. Because I heard, again, it was a doctor on Stephen Bartlett's podcast a couple of years ago, spoke about if you want to live a great life, there's 3 key things that contribute to a great life. And happiness is only one part of the equation. They said there's happiness is important if you want to live a great life, but also there's meaning, feeling you live a life of meaning. And the third one that was said is variety, having a life with variety. And when I heard that a couple of years ago, I was like, yes, because when I first got into self-development and this whole world and had coaches and things like that, it was all so regimented on routine. It was like every day, get up at 5 a.m., like work 7 days a week. We told about consistency is key, consistency, and all these kind of things. And I was like, I'm going to do this because I know I want to change my life and I want to improve. But I'm like, this isn't me, man. Sometimes I love getting up early. Sometimes I love having a late night and having a lie-in. And, I just felt like I was pushing against who I actually am. So here's what I discovered and what I think is important. And yes, structure and routine is so useful. It's so important. And like I said, it's great for your mental health. It's great for your body, your physical health, and so on. But so is variety, right? And I think, as well, just give me some love hearts. Does anyone else agree with this? Give me some love hearts if you're watching on Instagram or if you're watching on Facebook or wherever you watch it. Just tap the love hearts if anyone else agrees with that they understand the importance of consistency and routine, but also they're like I was, where they're like, do you know what? I like variety though. I don't want to do the exact same thing every day. It gets boring. Life's not worth living. Just let me know. I can see some love hearts coming in there on Instagram. Yeah, this is what I started to think is, do you know what we actually need? We need a solid routine. There's no getting away from it, guys, unfortunately. Sorry. It's good for you. It is important. And a level of discipline also is really important. But this is what I sort of decided. I was like, I'm going to create non-negotiables versus the ideal routine. And that's something I won't go into on and on about now because we talk about it all the time, don't we? But what I say, and I think I used the example even yesterday, like say you've got a step goal that's the ideal and you need to get 10,000 steps in a day. Have that as your goal, but then have a non-negotiable like 7,000. So then on a day, if you haven't moved your body a lot, what I was saying yesterday is you get to the end of the day, you go, oh God, I've only done 3,500. Rather than thinking, oh, my goal's 10,000, I'm a failure, won't bother. Just having 7,000, you're more likely to go, yeah, I can do a few extra thousand and hit that goal. That's what I'm talking about, having the ideal routine, the ideal goal, but then also having the non-negotiable, which is like, look, I'm not going to do my full routine, but I can at least do X, Y, and Z. So that's one of the things that gives you a bit of variety, so it's not Groundhog Day. But here's the other thing that I talk about, which is about things being seasonal. There'll be times where I'm all in on my business. I'm going live every single day. I'm pushing. And that's like, quote unquote, hustle mode. And I love the structure. I love the focus. I love that passion of like, we're going again. And then I get to the point where I'm like, I'm getting a bit tired of this now. And then we'll go into holiday mode maybe, or then we'll go into working more on my other business that I've neglected or whatever. And I think that that's really healthy. Like, yes, great results can come from consistently doing the same thing compounded over time. So we need to do an element of that, but not to the extreme, which I'd kind of been told and started to go down, which is like, you start to feel like, ugh, I don't even want this success anymore. I'm so bored. I want to do something different. So I think this is a really important thing is, yes, try and generally have the same habits as best as you can. Have structure, have routine, have consistency to a degree, but do not forget and neglect the power and the importance of variety. They say it, and I think it's true. Variety is the spice of life, and it is going to help you feel happier and feel that you're getting more out of life. Anything you want to say on that, Helen?
Yeah, I think there's just so many ways that you can add a little bit of variety and still stick to the routine as well. In terms of like trying, different recipes, different food, you're sticking to your nutrition, but you're not sticking to the same meals all the time, getting bored of them.
That's a great one, yeah.
Or try a different class at the gym. If you're bored of the gym routine that you're doing, book onto a different class, try something different. Like, be open to alternative ways. The same with spiritual stuff. You've been meditating for ages, you're getting bored of that. Try journaling for a change. Still do something for your mind and something spiritual, but doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. And I think that becomes really fulfilling, because sometimes you'll just try something and be like, I love this so much more.
Completely. Yeah. So there we go, guys. Be aware of it. Again, like I've said, get rating yourself. How good are you at having variety in your life? Do you need a little bit more of it? Is that what's going to make you a bit happier? Is it time you went on bloody holiday, maybe, or had a few days off, maybe, or maybe for you, it's time you worked harder and got back into hustle mode, and that'll make you feel good. Whatever it is, just be mindful. Variety is important for living a happy life. Okay, moving on to number 10. Number 10 is see the good in everything and remove expectations. As we spoke about earlier, we have something called negativity bias. So naturally, we're programmed to look for the worst case scenario, because our brain, one of its primary jobs is to keep us alive. That's what it's doing. It's always on the lookout, and it's looking after us, and it wants to keep us alive. But as a result of that, it's always looking for the worst in stuff. But equally, there is always good there if we choose to see it and look for it. So it's about remembering that every upside has an equal downside. You know, if you look at things like the biggest challenges you go through in life, the most heartbreaking, difficult stuff, remember that you don't build strength as a human being. You don't grow as a human. You don't become better as a human by just being in a comfort zone where everything's going easy and you don't have to work at anything and there's no challenge. There is no change without challenge. So it's choosing to see that and go, actually, when it gets tough, or, you know, my back's against the wall, or I've been thrown a curveball and it's really, really challenging, this is a fantastic opportunity. This is the perfect opportunity for me to become better, me to become stronger, me to become more experienced, me to grow resilience, that I'm then able to serve my family better and help others better. There is a positive in it. There's often like examples where, you know, maybe you might see someone who their girlfriend cheats on them, leaves them, and they're like, this is the worst thing ever. That was the love of my life. And then 20 years later, you meet that person. They've married someone else. They've had 6 kids. And you would be like, was that a good thing that happened to you or a bad thing? They'd be like, it's the best thing. I wouldn't have the children. I wouldn't have met the love of my life. Oh, but on the day, you said it was the worst thing. So it's about trying to get into that other perspective quicker if you want a happier life, rather than dwelling on and focusing on the negatives, which are also valid and they're also there. I'm not saying they're not. It's about becoming a person that starts to be able to see the good and the gift and the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to become stronger, even in the more challenging negative times. And the other thing I said is about remove expectations. And I think I've spoken about this a lot, this idea that we are only ever unhappy when our expectations of how we thought reality should be going and how our life should be is not met with the reality. That's when we become unhappy. And it's something I've heard a couple of people speak about. And I'm like, that is so true when you think about it. But the opposite's true as well. Like if you have lower expectations and then it exceeds it, you're like, this is how I'm happy. Now, what I'm not saying or suggesting is, therefore, the answer is just have low standards for yourself, low expectations. I'm not saying that. You know, there's a phrase which is plan for the worst, expect the best. Like, expect it to go great. But I think the key is being at peace with if it doesn't. That's totally cool as well. And just being mindful of not having these expectations that it must go that way and it needs to go that way. Be like, I expect it to, I'm wanting it to, but equally if it doesn't, that's all right. I'm cool. And I know that I can learn and I can grow and I can find the gifts and the opportunities in the challenges and in things not going well and the failures, quote unquote, and so on. So I think training yourself to look for the good in stuff and removing those expectations that this is how my life should be and it's so unfair it's a massive one, right, Helen?
Yeah, I think expectations, like particularly, we have that blueprint for life, don't we, where we just, you know, we've set that in our mind when we're young. And then, you know, I don't know many people whose life has actually turned out to follow the path that they had the expectation of. And I think it's just having that, like allowing it to be there, but allowing some flexibility within that to think like, okay, maybe it's not all going to go that way and maybe it's going to veer off in different ways, and learning to enjoy that, I think, is really important. Like learning to enjoy, like I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I'm going to enjoy the ride anyway.
100%. And that's the thing we spoke about with the 6 human needs, isn't it? About like, if you need certainty, and if that's high on your list of needs, that's not a good place to be, because we're living in an uncertain world. So if you can be okay with that and just be okay, look, this is my expectation, this is my plan, but I'm so cool with if it goes in a different direction, I will learn, I will adapt, I'll grow through it. And if you can have that sort of more fluid approach, it's really, really important, especially if you're entrepreneurial and you're the sort of person that's ambitious, because every day is a firefighting day. I mean, we've just had it before this call, haven't we? Like, I mean, I won't go into it, but things go wrong all the time. And if you're going to be like, no, this is not what I wanted. Like if you're just going to put yourself in an early grave, right? So it's about just being like, look, you know, I'm going to remove the expectation of it going perfect. I'm going to be open. And as we spoke about there, it's about seeing the good in everything, because there is always an upside, even to those negative kind of scenarios and situations. All right, let's move on to number 11. You're going to like this one. Number 11 is make time for love. Oh, yeah. Seriously, guys, if you want to live a happier life, I spoke about it earlier, like as human beings, one of the most important things that makes us human is connection to other humans. When you're having loving, meaningful relationships with deep connection, that is one of the most powerful ways to genuinely experience deep happiness in your life. And I'm not just speaking about like, you know, a sexual connection and a sexual partner. I'm just talking about in general, having love in your life, you know, having great friends that you love, having great family that you love, just having as much love in your life as you can is so important for happiness. And let me just say this, I'm not just talking about making time for love with your partner and your friends and whoever else. I'm also saying make time for loving yourself. Because remember that the longest relationship and the most important relationship that you will ever have in your life is the relationship you have with yourself. So learn to love yourself a little bit more. Big yourself up a bit more. Be proud of yourself. Congratulate yourself a little bit more. You know, we talked about be grateful. Like, stop picking out all the worst things in yourself. Be grateful for how incredible your body is and your brain, and the fact that it all works together to keep your heart beating, to keep you breathing, to keep you alive. Like, be great. Like, love your body. Even if there's bits about it you don't love them anyway. I mean, I'm going to be really honest. I've wasted, let's say, so many years of my life beating myself up about the way I look, about the way I speak. I wish that my voice was higher. I wish I was taller. I've got a bit of a like droopy eyelid that when I get tired looks like I'm really embarrassed by it. There's all these things. And I'm saying this because I know you all have your own versions of this. You all have your own insecurities about the bits that you're embarrassed about and you hate about yourself. And I've had that too. And I still have it to some degree. You know, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I spent so many years hating myself for it all. And now I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, if I could look perfect, wouldn't that be lovely? But actually, I am me. I am unique. It makes me different. It makes me quirky. It makes me me. And I am good enough as me with all my flaws and imperfections. And I know this might sound like a little bit woo and all the rest of it, but guys, this is so important because the relationship you have with yourself sets the foundation for the relationship with everybody else. If you're going into relationships with friendships and with a partner especially, already having all these things you hate about yourself, how are you going to show up? How is that going to impact your relationship with other people? So I just think you reach a stage, and you hopefully reach a stage. And if you're not, you need to actively work on reaching a stage where you gain perspective that none of us are perfect. And life is so quick. Life is so short. Why would you want to waste a huge percent of this life beating yourself up when you're able-bodied, when you're alive, and when you're here? You've got air in your lungs. So I think this is a massive one, guys. If you want to live a happy life, yes, make time for love, make time for loving relationships. but start to love yourself more, warts and all. Anything you want to say on that, Helen?
I think, yeah, in terms of like loving yourself, you know, I'm not really a big fan of this whole self-care thing, because I feel like people use it to let themselves off the hook a lot. But I think there's definitely got to be an aspect of that. And that's something that I definitely do. I set time aside and I'm like, I'll text everyone and I'll be like, I'm not going to reply to you now. I'm doing my nails. This is my time. And I'll do my nails and I'll do a facial and I'll do my fake tan and I'll have a night where like that's my relaxation. That's what I enjoy doing. And I think it's really important to give yourself that time sometimes. So just like, if that's what's up your street, pampering yourself, then that's what you do. Or find something else, read, do whatever it is that's your time, have a nice hot bath. I think it's really important. And also what you were saying about being imperfect. I think even if it's something that you're working on in terms of like weight loss, obviously springs to mind, learning to love yourself whilst you're on that journey and not being, I'll be happy when. It's like, I'm happy now, I'm fine now, there's nothing wrong with me now. And maybe I'll feel better then, but don't put all the hope on the end goal of like, I'm going to feel like amazing then. Feel amazing now.
Absolutely. I got the biggest realization that when I stood on stage doing a bodybuilding competition, I thought I would feel so good when I finally had abs and muscles and all the rest of it. And there I was on stage. I got placed in the finals and I was just like, I actually feel miserable right now because I expected to be like, this is it, I've arrived, I'm in amazing shape, everyone's going to adore me. I still just felt like me. I was still just me. And it's so important, as you're saying there, Helen, perfectly, which is about loving yourself every step of the process. Yeah, there's things that we can do better. Yeah, we're working on doing great things. Yeah, we've got goals we want to achieve, but it's not that you become any more worthy of love or you become a person now that should feel good about yourself just because you've achieved a goal. You are already worthy of love now, and you're worthy of loving yourself now. And it is something I really, really hope resonates with people today, because so many of us, and myself included, and I don't think enough guys speak about this because I know a lot of lads do it as well. They just don't talk about it as much generally. So many of us are constantly beating ourselves up about the shit we wish we could change and we don't like about ourselves. And some of it's just shit you can't change. You can't change your height. You can't really change your voice. You can't change really the size of your eyes. I mean, I could get maybe some work done, but really I'm going to butcher my face because there's a vanity metric that society says is better. I am me. This is who I am. And I think when you learn to embrace that and love yourself more, you just can take a breath and actually start to be so much happier. So I think this is a massive one. Make time for love. Make time for love others. Make time to love in yourself. All right, the 12th one. The final step, guys. We're here. We made it. Hope this has been useful. Let us know in the comments what you're thinking. And let me know as well, out of listening to this, if anything stood out to you that's like, bang, that is something that I don't do enough of. That is something I need to remember. I'd love to get a bit of feedback, and Helen would as well, because it's really useful for us to see the engagement, see what people are saying and so on. So final one, number 12, get most of your happiness from fulfillment. This is a big one. Get most of your happiness from fulfillment. I want to talk about this. I want you all to think about this if you're watching right now. I speak about, and this is just kind of like a thing that I made up myself. I didn't really learn it from anyone else. But as I was reflecting on the work that I was doing with clients, I kind of came to the conclusion that generally speaking, we can get happiness from one of two places. One is from what I kind of label as pleasure, and the second is what I would label as fulfillment. And both of which will make you feel happy. So when I talk about getting happiness from things that bring us pleasure, I would suggest is things more like a Netflix marathon, like watching TV, getting stuck into a box set. It's eating the cake, the chocolate, the crisps, whatever your thing is. It's drinking the wine, the alcohol. It's having the nights out and partying. These are the things that are pleasurable things. We call them guilty pleasures. These are pleasure. These bring us happiness. Then on the other side, we can gain happiness from what I say is like fulfillment. And fulfillment is learning a new skill, achieving a goal you set out to achieve, doing meaningful work, making an impact, doing good for others, feeling that you're growing, you're making progress. Both make us happy. Give me some love hearts if this makes sense, because I really want this one to resonate. Both make us happy. You can get happiness from the pleasures, the chocolate, the crisps, the alcohol, the wine. We can also get pleasure from the fulfillment, the making an impact, having a meaningful mission, growing, working on yourself. And here's the other thing. Again, when I got into self-development, there's this whole thing of demonizing pleasure. You know, get up at 5 a.m. and just work hard on your meaningful mission. Otherwise, you're a loser. True story. I was called that. I don't think it's about demonizing pleasure. I bloody love going out and having a drink. I bloody love getting stuck into a Netflix and binge watching some kind of box set. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this. Like, this is life worth living without pleasure? Like, would you rather have a life where you don't draw any of your happiness from the things I'm saying that are pleasures, you know, going out, holidays, alcohol, whatever. Like, is life actually worth living? Let me know in the comments. I'm not going to carry on going until you tell me, is life worth living without the pleasures? Comment. I'm joking. I will actually keep going because there's a massive lag time between the comments. People haven't actually heard this bit yet, so we will keep going. But I hope you do comment. I hope you did comment, should I say. So it's not about demonizing pleasure, and it's not about I don't believe removing pleasure from your life altogether. I think it's about having a real serious look at your life and asking this question: where does most my happiness come from? Does most my happiness come from pleasure, aka getting home from work, or my break when I get to skive at work, or, you know, go to the toilets and scroll through TikTok? Or is it mostly from having that glass of wine on an evening, or watching TV, or watching a film? Or is it going on a night out? Or is it eating chocolate? Or is it having a cake? Like, when you actually reflect on your life, is it going on holiday? When you reflect on your life, does most your happiness come from those things? Because my suggestion is that if you want to live a happy life at the highest level, if you want the deepest sense of happiness, then you need to get most your happiness from fulfillment, not pleasure. So it's about getting the balance right. And I would suspect the vast majority of people gain 90% or more of happiness from pleasure, from all those things I've just said there. And part of my mission is to encourage people to get happiness from the things that truly bring you happiness. Because guess what? You go on an all-inclusive holiday, what happens? You have an amazing week and you come back and you feel, oh, I'm sluggish. I don't want to go back to work. I've put on weight. I'm out of my routine. So that short-term 1 week means you might have a few weeks of feeling shit about yourself. That having that night out, woohoo, we got pissed, we had loads of fun, all Sunday written off feeling shit about yourself. Then Monday, you're like, oh, back to work now, and I still feel hungover. I still don't feel great. Eating the chocolate, woohoo, feels amazing. Does it feel amazing when you're eating too much and you're now getting fat? So this is the thing. It's not about demonizing pleasure in the sense of not having any pleasure. That's not what I'm saying, and I don't advocate that. If you like a drink from time to time, enjoy it. If that's your thing. Life's short. You need pleasure. But it's about recognizing that most pleasures are only short-term happiness. And usually, especially if done in too much quantity, will equate to unhappiness. That's the key. You might get a short-term win, a short-term hit of happiness, but long-term, usually you will feel shit. And this is why I'm an advocate of, and I encourage people to really focus on getting most of their happiness. I'm a boring hell. Bloody hell, you're bloody yawning on me live.
I was up at 5.
You're going to have words. Bloody hell. I mean, like, that's hidden her. She just went... like we can't see you, Helen. It's like a kid when they're like, you can't see me. We saw your bloody yawn, Helen. Anyway, Helen does work very hard, so we can forgive her. But moving on to the fulfillment, when we look at how that brings us happiness, it's a much deeper sense of joy when you feel you're doing work that is actually meaningful, that makes a difference to other people's lives. When you feel you're growing as a person, you're improving, you're learning new skill sets, you're achieving new goals, you may be earning more money, you've maybe now got a higher quality of life. True happiness, the best kind of happiness, comes from fulfillment. So it's about the percent, guys. Have your pleasures. I certainly bloody do. Helen certainly bloody does. If you need a nice, pleasurable yawn from time to time, enjoy it, especially when you're on my live on camera. I love that. But joking aside, have them. But the question I ask is, how much of your happiness comes from pleasure how much of it comes from fulfillment. And my suggestion to all of you is get the main majority of happiness from fulfillment, not from pleasure. That's how you're going to live a really, truly happy life at the highest level. That's where you're going to have better relationships, you know, and you're going to make a better impact on other people's lives as well. Anything you want to add to that one, Helen?
No, I think like you've pretty much completely covered it there with what you've said. I don't think I can add anything to that that's any more valuable than what you've said.
There you go. She just wants to go to bed. Understood, Helen. No worries. Guys, let us know in the comments. How have you found this? Has this been useful? Give us some feedback. Like I say, it's lovely to see what everybody's thinking. Also, have you got any questions for us? We're literally going to go in a couple of minutes before Helen falls asleep live on camera. I'm just joking. Faya over here says, joining you all from my hospital bed as they're keeping me in another night now, focusing on getting my recovery over the next week or two so that I'm in the best position mentally and physically. Faye, I'm so glad it is done. I hope you're okay, and lots of love and well wishes to you. I hope you're recovering, and hope you're back with us soon as well. Caroline said there, yeah, I agree, you need to have some pleasures. Carol Whiteley said, gotta have Bridget and binge. Yep. So Carol says here, I definitely do not love myself. However, I'm starting to like who I am becoming now, and I'm working on it every day. And I think that's great that Carol's brought that up, because it is about things in stages, right? And it's not about going, oh, I need to love myself. Well, I don't. Oh, well, I'm a loser. No, can you just maybe take a step forward to loving yourself? Start to like yourself a bit more. Caroline's also said, pleasure can be fulfilling when shared. I love watching stuff with my kids and feel happy for when we are engaging in something together. Just finished binging The Mole on Netflix. Oh, I absolutely love that. That's beautiful. Missed the beginning bit, but all good. Thanks. And really useful. Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Any comments over on Facebook? Anybody saying anything over there?
So Kelly commented, this was when we was talking about saying no to things, and she said she got asked to do a shift today. She said no, as that's her off for 8 days and she wasn't shortening the time off. Good for you.
Fair play. Yeah, good for you. I can see it as well. Is it Amro over here says, brilliant. Thank you. Number 7 out of 10. Oh, sorry, 7, 10, and 12 really need working on for me. Amazing. You have been watching exactly. So learning to say no was 7. Number 10 was seeing the good in everything and removing the expectations. And then 12, getting more happiness from fulfillment, not just getting it all from the pleasures and the chocolate and things like that. Amazing. Anyone else want to just give some feedback? What are the main takeaways that you've had awareness on? Because this is what I always say about the stuff that we're doing here, is it's great to listen and go, oh, that makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. But really, it's about personalizing what we're talking about and going, actually, because I've listened to this video today, what am I now going to do as a result of it? What am I going to work on? What do I need to change? What do I need to be more mindful of? Because I'm very wary. There's this joke that we have, which is like, don't just have shelf development, which is just listening to stuff, reading books, basically, and consuming content. You want to do self-development, and that requires developing yourself, which requires action, which requires work. So books are great, and hopefully videos like this can help, and podcasts and things like that. But really all they're doing is bringing the awareness to what's the next action you need to take? What do you need to do as a result of that? So please do let us know in the comments what it is that you're taking away from this video so you can live a happier life, which is what we're all about. I've always said that's the catch phrase, haven't I? I've said, I want to help people live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. So it made sense that we did a video on happiness. How have you found this one today? Anything else you want to add?
I love this. I feel like we've really brought like massive value here. I feel like there was a lot of points. We've given people a lot of things to think about, and hopefully they'll go away and we'll actually think about them and address them, and maybe look at some different things that they could change or things that they could try to do differently. And hopefully it will improve their happiness. And we'd love to hear if it does, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Do get in touch. Let us know. And we're back tomorrow as well. I cannot remember what the subject is tomorrow. Can you remember? Because we have planned this out in advance, guys.
Yes.
So we've made a commitment to show up regular.
7 ways to be more productive.
Massive. This is a big one, folks. So please do join us tomorrow. Are we 4 p.m. tomorrow? What have we said?
4 p.m. tomorrow.
And then we've got 7 p.m. We're joined by Ryan on the members only call, 7 p.m. So just a quick reminder, guys, we've got a multi-millionaire joining us live tomorrow at 7 p.m., but that is for members only. So if you have not already got your membership, it is free to join. Like, you should absolutely take us up on this opportunity if you are the sort of person that wants to grow, because that is all we are doing, is helping, supporting, inspiring, educating you on the subject of growing. Tomorrow we have got, I mean, I'm just so excited to have Ryan on, because he is somebody who is so humble, so down to earth, so normal, family orientated. He's a Mancunian. It's just, he's just like a normal lad, just a really normal guy. But my God, has he been successful? Like, he has become incredibly wealthy. And tomorrow night at 7, he's going to be talking all about that journey. He's going to be telling you exactly how he did what he did. And also, he's going to be answering your questions. So you get to actually speak to him. And any questions what you would like to put to a multimillionaire, you can speak to him tomorrow if you're part of the membership. But just a reminder, it's completely free to join us. If you sign up now, you can be with us for a couple of weeks, completely free. After that, it becomes just over £4 odd a week to stay with us. So ultimately, you can join us for 6 weeks, where we do calls every single week with people like that, or we do coaching calls on mindset and self-development and goal setting every single week. So you basically get 6 weeks of that for less than £20. Like, it's an absolute bargain. So please do drop us a message, or go to the link in my bio if you're on Instagram to join Success School free now, to join us tomorrow at 7 o'clock, where we joined with Ryan, where you can speak to a multimillionaire. It's not bad, is it?
It's amazing what he's done in his business. I think I'm really looking forward to hearing his insights into that story. I feel like that is going to be super powerful.
Yeah, he is.
Like you said, because he's from Manchester and he's like really normal and northern, I feel like it's just going to be like really relatable. So I feel like that's going to be, yeah, I've not heard it yet, but I feel like it's going to be a firm favourite for me.
I saw him speak on stage in January, and the audience just loved him. He was just great, and he gave so much great advice about business, about mindset, about being the best version of yourself, about not fearing judgment, about social media as well. He gave a lot of great advice about growing on social media. So all stuff that I've no doubt we'll be covering tomorrow. And then, as I say as well, you get a Q&A with him if you want to ask your own questions about any of those topics, basically. I can see on Instagram, Caroline has said, definitely reducing expectations is something I'm getting better at. Well done. Carol has said, you really have given so much today. Thank you. Bless you, Carol, and thank you. And Caroline then has said, oh, I need that one. We'll need to join, even though I'm working. Can be a productive on the call. Absolutely love that. All right, we're going to get out of here, but don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. talking about 7 ways you can become more productive. Give me some love hearts if that sounds like something you would benefit from being. If you want to become more productive, join us tomorrow, 4 p.m. We'll be talking all about that. Then at 7 o'clock, we're going live with multimillionaire Ryan, and he's going to be talking about all those subjects as well that we spoke about earlier, as well as doing the Q&A, so you can speak to him as well. Make sure you get a membership sign up if you want to be on that call, though. That will not be live on Facebook, just to be super clear, if people are only just joining us now. Yeah. And as always, if you have genuinely found this useful, please do, especially on Facebook, if you could share this, let other people know about this. Please do help us. As I said earlier, the mission is to help as many people as we can live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. It's really, really tough to do this. You know, we're doing everything we can, but there is only me and Helen here. We're not this huge empire and massive team of people. So anything you can do to help us spread the word and get positivity out there, genuinely help people change their lives. If you could share this, in doing so, you help us start to help other people start to help themselves. And between us, we're having a positive effect on other people's lives, which is amazing. But for every single one of you that have been here, that have joined us today, thank you so much from me and from Helen. Anything you want to say before we go, Helen?
No, just thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely evening. And I am paranoid now about leaving this live, because you're going to prank me again, aren't you? He's in control, you see, so I don't know when it's ended. So he'll just be like this, and I'll be like...
We've actually ended. There we go. We're done.
Are you lying to me?
Joking.
I don't trust you.
A reverse prank. A reverse prank. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I won't do that to you. Would I do that to you? Maybe. All right. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. But thank you again. Lots of love to everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Do get in touch if you want to join us, or click the link in my bio in Insta to sign up, join the membership for free. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 4 o'clock here, and then 7 p.m. for the members only Zoom call, which is going to be really exciting. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
How long can I?